What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. Hope all is well with you. Now, guys, I have a story here that I find very interesting. Now, I saw this last week. I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't have time. I have time now. It's raining outside. The kid is hanging out with his cousins. So here we go. Now, this story, I believe, is yet another example of the war on our boys in the school system and masculinity, for that matter. We know we live in an age now where toxic masculinity is a thing that's bashed over our kids' heads. And I want to talk about this. Now, at the sight of it, it might not scream out to you that that's what this is, discrimination against boys. But I'll break it down to you by the end of the video, you best believe. So this story here is on apnews.com, and I want to start with the headline, which says, "The debate over a black student's suspension over his hairstyle in Texas ramps up with probe and lawsuit." It's a debate over a black student suspension. Now, of course, they want to put the racial aspect on it, which means that a lot of people will be turned off by this automatically. They can't relate to it because we're being conditioned to only care about people who look like we do. I challenge you to see that this is deeper than that, and I want to break it down to you, okay? So it says here, the debate over whether a black high school student in Texas should be serving an in-school suspension for wearing twisted dreadlocks to class intensified this week as the student's family and his school district both took legal action. Darrell George is 17 and he's a junior at Barbers Hill High School in Mont Bellevue. And he's been serving an in-school suspension since August 31st. That's ever since school started at the Houston area school. School officials say his dreadlocks fall below his eyebrows and earlobes and violate the district's dress code. I don't know, guys. If you look at the thumbnail there, I don't see that. Yeah, of course, he's wearing it in a way that's kind of up now. It has the potential to be worn down. Maybe that's the way he went into school. But right now, I don't see any issue with the way he looks. Now, George's mother, Derisha George, and the family's attorney denied the teenager's hairstyle violates the Barbers Hill Independent School District dress code and have accused the district of violating a new state law that outlaws racial discrimination based upon hairstyles. The new law, the Crown Act, took effect September 1st. On Tuesday, Derisha George and her attorney filed a formal complaint with the Texas Education Agency, alleging that Darrell George was being harassed and mistreated by school district officials over his hair, and that his in-school suspension was in violation of the Crown Act. On Wednesday, the agency notified Derisha George and her attorney that it will investigate the complaint. Now, late Wednesday, the Barbers Hill School District announced that it had filed a lawsuit in a state district court asking the judge to clarify whether its dress code restrictions limiting student hair length for boys violates the Crown Act. The lawsuit was filed in Chambers County, located east of Houston. Although we believe the new law does not govern hair length, we are asking the judicial system of Texas to interpret, Barbers Hill Superintendent Greg Poole said in a statement. The superintendent had previously said the dress code is legal and teaches students to conform as a sacrifice, benefiting everyone. That's a pretty loaded line, baby. The superintendent had previously said the dress code is legal and teaches students to conform as a sacrifice, benefiting everyone. Wow, I don't know if I like the sound of that. You're conditioning children to conform to benefit everyone. Resistance is futile. It sounds like the Borg, doesn't it? Individuality is irrelevant. Resistance is futile. Only what is good for the collective is what's good for everyone. Okay. Derisha George said the fight to have her son return to class has taken a toll on her mentally and physically. She said she was recently hospitalized after a series of panic and anxiety attacks brought on from stress. She said, "I try not to show everything because I have to stay strong for my son. I have to stay strong and stay in the fight," Derisha George said, "but it is draining." And I imagine it is, guys. I know a lot of us at this point would be tempted to say, oh, she's being dramatic. But any parent who's been through it with their kid in school knows that when the kid is not right, you're not right. And it does lead to a lot of anxiety. So I definitely, I can relate to what she's saying. It doesn't say anything about his father, which does have an impact on this story, even though that's not the way the story is being written. But it's just an observation of mine. There's no mention of the kid's father, which is a shame, because I know with my son, before he starts school, like, for example, just real quick, earlier this school year, my son came to his mother and I, who are divorced, and he said, I want to get a tattoo. My friends are getting tattoos. I want to get a tattoo, Dad. And I said to him, I don't know about that, son. He's only 15 years old. Now, believe it or not, in my state, a 15-year-old can get a tattoo if they have the consent of the parent. I'm not giving him my consent because, as you know, tattoos stay with you forever. Some people tend to look at tattoos a certain type of way. He has yet to get into the workforce. He'll be getting into the workforce very quickly, pretty soon, I should say, and because he really wants his own money. Yeah, but anyway. So I told him, not yet, kid. You're going to have to wait until you get older to understand the ramifications of that. He's wanted a pierced ear. He's wanted certain hairstyles. And I'm just like, I got to run out ahead of that. I got to say, listen, I don't know if you're ready for the ramifications of that, the consequences of it. But it looks like his mom is going through this by herself. Anyway, Darryl George did not return to his regular first period class on Wednesday morning, and he was welcomed by his teacher and classmates. And for a moment, he felt free for a little bit, his mother said. But soon after his return, the school principal pulled him out of class and returned him to an in-school suspension over his hair and for allegedly wearing an earring, which his mother said he does not wear to school. So the principal snatched his freedom right back away, Derisha said. This is unfortunate because it seems like now it's about who's right and who's wrong. It's about the battle. It's about the legal suit. But the last thing it's about is the welfare of the child. The child, and he's only 17, so yes, he is a child. The child now has had his school year kind of distracted from the very beginning by something like this. Now, there are plenty of schools where they do allow this kind of thing, but they've decided they are going to die on this hill, so to speak. They want to make this one the issue, even though, interestingly enough, 2 years ago, they had this very same thing happen with another student. And actually, it was 3 years ago, 2020. At that time, a judge ruled that the school did not have the right to deny this student entry based upon his hair, which is probably why the Crown Act is there in the first place, in part. Okay, so guys, there it is. I am going to stay looking at what's going on with this, but I want to get into the aspect now of how this is discriminatory to boys in general, not just to the student, but why we should be looking at this in general as a society, as parents, as caretakers of boys and the messages that we're sending to them. Because if I had to give some advice to young Mr. George, my advice, my sincerest advice to him to get out of all of this, pay attention, would be go to school and tell the administrators that you identify as a girl who identifies as a boy who's identifying as a girl or something to that effect. Okay. You're identifying as a girl because once you do that, you will be allowed to wear your hair down, to have an earring, to all of these things. So the point that I find very interesting, the observation here, is that in today's society, the way we are now, it's not safe for a boy to identify as himself and to grow what naturally comes out of his hair in a neat way now, okay? You see the thumbnail, okay? So you see that he's not coming in all disheveled and things like that. That would be different. But to deny him an education, I saw another story where they said they wanted to send him to a alternative education facility. They wanted to send him to special ed. You don't see how this is damaging to a 17-year-old's self-esteem? To be who he is, to be denied the education, to be suspended, not once, not twice, but to continue to be suspended based upon who you are, how you look, to have a lawsuit filed against you is extreme. But if you were that same boy who came in and said that I identify as a girl, not only would he be allowed to wear his hair the way he wants to and the jewelry that he wants to, but he would be celebrated. Why, they'd be on the phone calling Newsweek and People Magazine, Time Magazine, talking about how brave he is. But what message is that sending to our young boys when that is the case? When you can be harassed by what naturally grows out of your hair or your head in a responsible way, but you would be applauded for doing something unnatural, for changing your gender, for taking puberty blockers. These things are considered applaudable. Like they love it. They can't get enough of it. They encourage it. Books are being injected into our students' library for this. But I find it very ironic and I find it very disappointing and alarming that this poor young man is going through what he's going through just based upon his hair, his natural hair. But that's where we find ourselves today, guys. And I just want to say to Daryl George and any other kid, because this is being put in a racial light, but there are boys going through this all over the place. I don't care what the race is. This is what our boys are actually facing in these school districts today. They're being called toxic. They're being called bad news. They're being referred to alternate education programs and things like that based upon the mere fact that they are boys and they're going through the change into men. But that's where we are today. Men are under attack. I truly believe that. And this is a perfect example of that. Guys, I don't know if you agree with me or disagree with me. You can get in the comment section and let me know. Let me know your thoughts on this. To Daryl George, I just want to say be strong. To his mother, I want to say be strong. Hopefully his father is somewhere around and gets involved. I can only hope. But that's all I have to say about that, guys. So thank you for listening. Give me your opinion on this. I'm very interested in hearing what I'm talking about here. And I hope you guys see where this concerns all of us, especially as men who are raising boys, women who are raising sons, who are concerned about the proper development of their sons. This is an indication of what's wrong, guys. But that's my opinion. Give yours in the comment section. Thank you for listening. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe. Thank you for the super thanks. I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.